Lucky. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Feel so much love in my community here, or the circle of friends that are with me, also going through this time, how supportive everybody is and sharing their own resources. I mean, it's just the last days have been a bath in gratitude and love, and yeah.
Well, we're bigging you up on all the sessions, and actually, I think the week's going really well. The vibes great. The sessions are lovely, aren't they? Thea, I've been read some really nice ones. I heard good things about the panel yesterday, and the sign-ups are great. I think there's 27,000 signed up, which
Bam! Woo! Well done. Hey, you are an awesome
good,
team.
huh? It's pretty good. Yeah, the latest. Let's have a look. So loads of people, but also just the vibe's nice. People really like the superpowers idea. They get a lot of people were like, it's just positive,
And I do think that we are also hacking the unconscious current situation around feeling overpowered by politics. I mean, all over the globe, no matter where you live.
Interesting.
There is so much disempowerment, or the illusion of empowerment being taken away during the last 12 months, I think, or 18 months. So I think that's really a kind of unconsciousness trick.
Interesting. We should definitely talk about that on some of the sessions. I know this one. So we're doing how to move beyond trauma, what works, right? So this is essentially you just talking about your method. And I think talking about it in conversation, but almost like me interviewing you. Like I feel like maybe like 1/3, 2/3. That's what I'm thinking would be kind of a good format. I might do some stuff just right at the beginning around safety and around like a little bit almost salesy type stuff. But yeah, I think you just talking about like what you've found works in your groups. People love personal, so you can make it personal. But yeah, I feel pretty relaxed about this. Whatever the audience are cool. What are you finding people are appreciating, Thea?
This is my first session. So first session hosting.
Do you want me to do the safety stuff, Thea, if it's your first session hosting?
I'm happy to do it because then it gets me into the habit of doing it. But if I forget it, by all means, jump in.
You sure? And when you read my bio, don't read my bio out word for word. Okay, like people keep reading out the bio as it's written, and I'm like, okay. At the end, it's Mark is traumatized as fuck, and they read it out.
That's in the bio. That's a press material.
I don't do very well with just reading what I've been given anyway. So
good. Keep it real.
Are we already on live stream, Thea?
Looks like we are.
Yes, we are.
So everybody can watch our. Hey,
we are traumatized. The session will be starting in 8 minutes if you're watching on live stream or
look away right now.
I don't mind people saying what we say. We're not saying anything awful, are we? So the real us behind the scenes. Good. It's going to be interesting by the end of the week, because I'm teaching a lot of sessions. So is Patricia, and it's I didn't sleep that well last night. I was like, okay, that's unusual for me.
It was unusual for everybody, but nobody slept well last night. I had a conversation with my friends. 5 of us good sleepers. No way. Nightmares and stuff coming up. Animals screaming in the forest. Something was going on.
I woke up in the middle of the night. Yeah. I just woke up in the middle of the night, listened to a science fiction book for half an hour, and then went to sleep again.
Like a baby after an Armageddon science fiction.
I was like, you know what? I was waking up, I was thinking about my issues and trauma and this and that. And I just went, I'm just going to listen to some science fiction. It was fine. So
some pain that's coming from another side than inside. So then, resting in peace. Hey, Steve.
Hey, I decided to drop in and say hi.
Looking sexy, man. Looking good today. What's going on?
What's that?
You look sexy, man. You look good. What's going on?
It's obviously the hoodie that I'm never allowed to wear.
New haircut. Steve, on a technical issue, I haven't had I can't find the bit that says don't let people unmute themselves.
When you click participants button and you click more, there's a little scrolly thing down there, and at the bottom it says allow participants to, and then you just unmute themselves.
It's not.
When you make Steve the host for a moment, he can.
I can do it myself. I can see.
I think that's a good plan. Yes.
Make me and Ilan co-host as well, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Yay.
We like power, don't we, Ilan?
Superpowers here.
Steve will have to do that now.
And Thea, can you also tell people not to side chat? Because there's been a couple of sessions where there's like the challenging thing the whole time, and it's just not very helpful when it keeps popping up if Ilan and I are teaching.
Yeah. Also, I can't make co-host. I can make Ilan a co-host. It doesn't want you, Mark.
Well, that's a start.
That's because Mark already is. Mark
already is.
Okay.
Born a co-host.
He can't be a non-host. Okay.
I was born and I was
okay.
like, I said to the doctor, look, let me help out here. You need to touch the umbilical cord. Okay, you need to give me to my mum. I'm going to need some titty. Like, I was like, I've got this under control. Okay, doctor.
I will, yeah. You can stop panicking. You can rest.
I was like, take it easy. Walsh is here.
Let me tell you.
I'm going to be a teacher. Let me tell you exactly how everything works, because that's my place of safety.
This is the phase for bonding, ladies and gentlemen. Could you please shut up and then bond with my mother? Oh, what an empowering...
unless I cuddle right now.
He's obviously going to have a lot of fun hosting this session, I can tell.
It's going to be a good one.
Of course. We are rewriting the whole story that brought us into this place in the very first.
Steve, can I make you host until we start? Because I also don't have the close the waiting room option.
I can. You just make me co-host. I can still do all that stuff if I'm co-host.
Okay. I think maybe I shouldn't have opened the app.
Yeah, I'm going to do the safety stuff at the beginning, just because you got some technical issues and you seem a bit stressed, and
okay,
I don't want that to come from stress. So let me do it. I'm pretty comfortable with it, and then you'll be ready next time. Okay.
Okay, sure.
So you just do the technical stuff at the beginning.
And yeah, so Thea, when you do the intros as well, you can have Mark and Ilan unspotlighted so people can actually see you, because they kind of like seeing you, and that's the point, that we get to see you a little bit.
Okay, I'll remove that now then.
Yeah, live stream is going. So yeah, just press record
in to say hi.
Yeah. Just make sure you're on speaker view, Thea.
Given how much I've been overworking you lately, Steve, you do look very well. What's your secret? You've been swimming in the sea, or is it that Spanish girlfriend? What's going on?
Well, she's getting back tomorrow, so I'm probably a bit excited.
Oh, yeah.
Daniela.
Hi, Amelia. Hey, Jodie's always here. Jodie, what have I told you about binge watching trauma sessions? It's going to be like your fifth one already, right? Hey, a man. Is it a man? Amma. Hello, Tammy. If you're here early and you want to turn your cameras on and say hi, feel free. If you want to say hello before we get official. If you're watching this on recording, you shouldn't be. We're 5 minutes, 3 minutes, we'll begin officially. Anyone want to say hello?
Hello.
Hello, Amelia from Indonesia is here for her lunch. As is Daniela, we know who you are. Anyone new want to say hello? A man, where are you, a man? Tammy, where are you? It's always nice to see where people are if you want to rename yourselves with the location. I am in Moscow again, or as Americans say, Moscow. Moscow, if you're Russian.
Lydia did a nice culture session this morning as well, so that was cool.
What did she say about Russian culture?
Yeah, well, it's general cultural stuff, so it was quite nice.
Good at that.
It did some Russian culture. She went all like "Hurrah!" when she's talking about Russia, so it was funny.
Hey, Nadia. Lisa Dainty. Hey, Karen. We're rehabilitating your name, Karen. We're not mean to Karens here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Can I see some faces? I want to. This is my love letter. Roses are red, violets are blue. I want to co-regulate with you.
Cute.
I was Valentine's Day, and all the trauma therapist friends of mine were sending like ridiculous notes to each other about co-regulation. It was good. February. Hey, someone's called Marika Matic. Is that right? Hello. Where are you in the world? I want to say hello to you. Let's make friends. Where are you?
I'm in England.
Ah, another English person. And what do you do in England?
I'm a lovely barmaid.
Lovely barmaid. Well, I used to be an alcoholic, so we can be friends. And whereabouts in England are you?
I'm up north in Lancashire.
Up north. So if people want to know what the north is, if you're foreigners, if you watch Game of Thrones, it's like that. Okay. So the north remembers. And why do you come to these sessions, Marika?
Well, I've been through trauma myself, and so I find this, it actually links a lot with a lot of stuff I do at a holistic studio. And the therapy I had was the sort of like the past child, the future child, the present child. And I find a lot of it resonates. So I'm finding it actually really nourishing. Yeah.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. And me and Ilan are both childlike in the best possible ways.
Yeah.
We're going to start in a moment. So nice to meet you, Marika. Oh, there's Christina. She's my new mentee. So welcome. Hey, Lenny, you were at Keck this morning, weren't you? Nice to see you. Maria, a few more cameras. Come on, Bettina. Nice to see you, Bettina. Saw you this morning. Hello.
Okay, we're on the hour, so record is on and we're ready to go, everybody. Welcome to How to Move Beyond Trauma, What Works, with our own Mark Walsh and the marvellous Ilan Stefani. Give us a wave, Ilan, maybe.
Hello.
My name's Thea Allison. I'm your host for today, and I'm going to be doing the tech hosting. So do let me know if you have any problems on Zoom, or and I'll do my best to solve them. If not, I'll hand over to Steve, who might be able to help you as well. So today's session, led by Mark and Ilan. Let me introduce you to them briefly before we do a bit of housekeeping. Mark is, of course, Mr. Embodiment. He's worked in war zones, he's worked with street kids, he's worked with military groups, with LGBTQ plus communities in Russia, with police and with aid workers. So a really varied background and lots of challenging communities there that he's worked with. He's been sober for 14 years. And of course, is very open about his own trauma story, but is doing well, largely, I believe, as a result of his own embodiment journey, which yesterday I heard him say he began in order to heal, and he just never remembered to stop. So here he is sharing it with the world. Ilan is amazing. She's a trauma educator. She's a best-selling author and researcher in sexuality and spirituality, two great areas that I love. She works in collective trauma, healing, and of course, through embodiment. She's been
my entire team is in love with Ilan.
Yes.
Because of the work she does, because it's magical and practical and fun and playful. And even like my web designers and marketing people who don't care about embodiment, they're like, that Ilan girl, she's lovely. We like her.
She's absolutely lovely. You're going to have a great session with her. Her own experience as a sex worker has given her an experience of coming back from difficult places and developing that as her own superpower for truly living. Thank you for coming, all of you who are live with us today, having the all access pass. Good choice.
Oh, when you say all access pass, everyone has to go,
oh, I forgot.
Fancy. Woo, fancy. That's what we do. And if you've got it, like if you can put like some kind of bling or party symbol on the reaction, like, you know, you're fancy. I'm going to do a rabbit. I don't know why. Okay, that means you've got the all access pass. It's only $19, but if you're like really, really broke, then message us, and we'll probably give it to you for free if you're like, starving somewhere and you need a bit of help. But it's $19. Sorry, Thea.
No problem. Always welcome a bit of interruption while I find my place again. If you can turn your cameras on, it really helps the speakers to have a bit of feedback, to know that you're here in your body. It is embodiment. Even if you're walking the dog, even if you're messing around in the kitchen, we love to see you. Please as well, don't engage with side chat in the chat panel. Keep your focus with the speakers. It just means you'll get more from the session. If you're watching on replay, you can purchase that all access pass, as Mark said, £19, £19,
$9, about $15.
And that'll get you in here live and to see unlimited sessions. There are also some Q&As at 12 p.m. UK and 6 p.m. UK, which is 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern. And those are done by Roger Mills, who's a therapist who specializes in PTSD. He's amazing.
He was my therapist. He's why I'm so sane now, okay?
So if he helped Mark, he's probably got some good tips for you. And Patricia Aguirre, our Embodiment Unlimited therapist. And finally, we would love you to share this with others. So if you think of anybody who you think might benefit from this normal person's guide, many people affected by trauma in different ways, do please recommend it to them. And I'm going to put the links that you can use in the chat. Oh my goodness.
So jump in. Someone that you think we're accessible, because I think people who wouldn't do normal stuff around trauma might like us, the way we approach it, which is it's for everyone and it can lead to superpowers, and you don't have to be, like a therapist with a bad neck to talk about it. It doesn't have to be super new agey. Like, there's a lot of people who could really benefit from this stuff. And I think our style won't appeal to all of them, but if there's someone that you think, I think they'd like Mark's jokes, then get them here.
Yeah, you'll know who's a link for this, who's a match for this work. We'll tell you more about the courses. There's a link there for later courses. We'll tell you more at the end of the week. But for now, that's me done. And I'm going to hand over to Mark and Ilan. Have a great session, everybody.
High five. I do some practical things, and it'd be mostly Ilan. So safety things, we always say, this is going to be fairly fast and fun and furious, and you might not be in the mood for that. So maybe just check in, or maybe you've overdosed. How many sessions have you watched so far? Put them in the chat. I had a slight sleep problem last night. I don't always do, and I was thinking, maybe it's thinking about trauma too much, I was in the bath last night listening to Patricia's session. At the end of the day, I went, no, I need to stop this. So I listened to some science fiction instead. Yeah, okay, great. So you're not binge watching them. That's really good. If it's just, one or two a day, take it easy. Remember, you can move, you can walk, you can be outside if you don't mind. Keep breathing, keep stretching. And a really bad idea is to think about all the worst things that have ever happened to you during these sessions. Don't do that. Okay. Instead, breathe, look at us. We might make jokes. If you're easily offended, this is the wrong place to be. However, if you want to hear what works, this is the big question, right? And no one gives you a straight bloody answer to this. You're like, okay, I know about the trauma. I've gone to those sessions. I've got a bit of trauma or a lot of trauma, whatever it is. Okay, what do I do about that? That's the next question. Ilan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So many people showing up here. To some extent, this is just my vision, or all of our vision altogether, that we do not have to figure out how to heal alone, but that we can gather around this topic. So thank you for showing up here. Okay, what works in terms of trauma healing? I could say so many different things about that, but let me share a little bit from where I come from, because I come from deep shutdown, deep disembodiment and numbness for not only my body and my nervous system, but also my emotions and my feelings. So I definitely come from a place, or from years in my life, that I can recall as something like a dark black hole. And it is, I could say, my modern definition of hell, not sensing anymore anything about myself, and by that having lost contact to the intensity and the aliveness. So getting back to intensity, to aliveness, there is one way that truly worked for me, even though that's a collective term. This is embodiment. It is stopping our disembodiment from this very moment. It is not stopping talking about it, but even when I'm talking about trauma, I might be using my words in order to move my energy. What works in terms of moving beyond trauma? Move. It's not running away. It's not looking away. It's a kind of moving that I would describe as melting the frozen fields inside. And there are so many ingredients that can make that easier for you. I think one ingredient is what we already have at the moment, which is a community around that. I can't stretch that enough. As long as I have been trapped in my self-hatred, in my I do not get along, but everybody else does. I am wrong and everybody else is right. I had no chance, because I provided such an unsafe setting for my nervous system that I looked at myself from the perspective of being a problem. So when you are suffering from any kind of trauma symptom from your past, a subtle one, a big one, thousands of big ones. It is you suffering from trauma symptoms because you are on track, because you are healthy, because your nervous system still tries to figure out a way how to manage the inner and the outer world in contact. It's not because you are a problem, it's because you are not a problem. So I think this shift, I'm also super curious how this lands for you, Mark, or what you want to throw in. But this shift was a huge shift. And it wasn't me telling myself that I'm right. It was me experiencing the energy in my nervous system. And the very basic thing is sensing my sensations and moving in my whole body. And we can go into depth, we can go into other aspects, but that's the basic prayer that I wake up with. It is, let me sense the here and now by sensing my body. Yeah.
I love you, Ilan. I could just listen to you all day. So I find you soothing just listening to you. But I'm with you on this. I did a session yesterday on called The One Thing That Works. And I said, on the one hand, the one thing that works is whatever works. However, and if anyone tells you their one method is the way, like when we kind of sell your product, the sort of cheap one we're selling for people, I'll say, look, this is one way. There are many great teachers, there's many things, like David Baselli's here, there's all these different things. This is one way. But there's something that all the ways have in common that worked, and this is this kind, calibrated coming back to the body. This is what, in one way or another, they have in common, whatever the method is.
Because what I also met as incredibly healing, or found as incredibly healing in my own healing journey, which of course keeps going on, nobody is healed or through or knows it or has figured it out, is I was expecting in the beginning, I'm healing because I need healing. And the world around is waiting in a healed state. And that's not the case. We are living in a traumatized and traumatizing culture altogether. So it's very, very important to meet your essence underneath of cultural conditioning, regardless of the concrete country or continent that you are listening from at the moment. And this diving underneath of your conditioning, diving underneath of your culture, of the transgenerational and collective trauma layers of your very nation and culture, all of that comes down to the body. The body is this is the treasure box. This is the source. This is the fountain of remembrance of what has been there in the very first place. And I think when we get stuck in our head, which method to follow? Does it work? And I'm just too stupid to get it. Which guru to follow, etc. When we are so busy in our head, it is because we are not fixing in the first step our basic trust into our own nervous system. But this is the highway, and that is the best insurance against becoming dependent on something from the outer world. So in that way also, let me put it into other words, taking pride in your wounding, because the world around is wounded. And maybe, or I could say even for sure, more wounded than you, because most of the culture is a running away, is a looking away from the own wounding. And if you are turning around and facing the past and facing the shadow, it doesn't open up a happy past. It opens up a bright future. And that, I think, is something that where we can use a lot from. Yeah.
And there's a wonderful good news in this in a way, which is almost like the hardest thing is coming here. The hardest thing is opening up that first Peter Levine book or Gabor Mate book, or video from Ilan online. That's because that's like saying, hey, there's a problem. Yeah. Right? In coaching, we call it a declaration of incompetence, which is kind of a harsh phrase, but and most of the culture doesn't want to do that. Yeah. Most of the cultures, I'm fine, drinking, injecting, TV, porn, whatever. I'm fine. And we're not in a normal world. We're in a fucked up world. Let's be honest. And it's like that's the context we need to heal and grow in. And I think some of it's for others in a way, right? Like be an example of that. That's motivating. Be an example of that. And you're not going to get normal. Don't worry.
Something better.
Yeah, this is like good news, right? Like I thought, okay, if I heal, I'm gonna get normal. I'm gonna be like normal people and not have all these issues. And then I looked at Paul Linden and Patricia and Ilan and people like that, and just went, well, they're not normal. They're crazy. They're weird, but in a lovely, wonderful way. They seem happy and functional as well. So I think not. Does that relieve you? The idea of not having to be normal as part of this? For me, it's like no, normal's not a place to aim.
I like admitting, yeah, lots of self-care. Yeah. Yeah, you can, of course, share in the chat. Does it relieve you that it's not about being normal? Quite the opposite. I mean, stay stuck in trauma layers if you want to be just functioning in life. I could define our normal way of functioning as a subconscious survival mode, which provides us a pseudo sense of safety, but it's not a deep, restful sleep. It's not carried, it doesn't carry any true self-love and self-appreciation in itself. So I think us overcoming the illusion that life would be about becoming normal, this is a huge step in healing. And another thing that you say, Mark, is really, I approached my own healing journey as I say, my own healing journey. It's Ilan has to figure out her hypersensitivity, sexual trauma stuff. It's like, congratulations, I have to do my private hobby. And then I realized, wow, I am not exceptional. The only exceptional thing around people who are into trauma healing is they have the resources and to some extent the circumstances of facing the stuff, but not they are the only ones running around with the stuff. So it's almost like the most private thing of therapy became the most public, official, globally relevant thing that I could ever contribute to the era around. And to be honest, since I sense more, I also sense more of the suffering around, and that's not always fun and not always easy. But then having a kind of inner whole body movement, as I already said, instead of freezing because somebody else is suffering, that puts me into a state of empathy without collapsing. So it comes down again and again to appreciate what brought you here, because it's something in you that is incredibly strong, incredibly on point, and incredibly healthy.
A piece around self-appreciation for appreciating the pattern, right? So not the trauma event, but the trauma pattern, the trauma response, which was a healthy form of learning, which was, it's not a problem, it's a solution. And it comes with maybe another problem we need to work with, but everything is an act of self-love. All those trauma patterns, no matter how, Ilan's been so helpful for me on this, just seeing them all as patterns of self-love, even if they look pretty unpleasant. I want to keep this in the body a little bit. So just a kind of couple of things to offer you while we're chatting away and doing our thing. Soothing, if you fancy a little bit of that, soothing stroke, kind of, we call this self-care pose.
Rub your hands, ladies and gentlemen, let's rub your hands. Woo! A little bit of warmth, a little bit of melting of frozen energy inside, maybe. Then for a moment, close your eyes. And then, as simple as that, put your right hand onto your left shoulder. Put your left hand onto your right shoulder. Easy. Just give yourself a hug. As simple as that. I don't ask you to feel overwhelming self-love. I ask you to sense your right hand onto your left shoulder, your left hand onto your right shoulder. Just a gesture. And stay with your eyes closed for a moment. And here's the trick around a gesture. For the body in this very moment, it's not a gesture. It's a proof that you have empathy with yourself and that you are onto your path of loving yourself more and more, as well as I am. Because at the end of the day, trauma healing is the sum of belief systems that you embody. It's not believing in your mind, it's believing by embodying it. If you sense that you hug yourself, you won't be able to hinder yourself over time from falling in love again with yourself. Super easy. Follow my words. Left hand lifted from your right shoulder. Put your left hand softly on your left closed eye. Right hand lifting. Put your right hand onto your right closed eye very softly. And just allow the frozen angles, maybe a little bit contracted eye muscles, to melt in the darkness. Allow this darkness to be this time a nourishing thing. I'm here, we are all here, you are so not alone. Allow the darkness to be something that soothes you. Inhale, exhale, listen to your breath. This is super simple. Relax your eye muscles, even relax the forehead, the neocortex behind the forehead. Simple, simple embodiment. Do not expect healing coming from this. That's it. Softly lifting your hands, relaxing, staying with your eyes closed, a few more breaths. Moving your neck, opening your eyes. Stay for a moment in this slow pace. I will keep speaking slowly. Another thing that I learned from trauma healing, what truly works, is I knew I was traumatized. I knew I was highly traumatized on many layers. And then I waited for the big bang in my trauma healing. I waited for this very one breakthrough in my therapy session. And this very one breakthrough never came. What came instead was an everyday meeting in a very soft moment of slowing down, reconnecting to myself, opening my eyes again, listening to words again. What I'm talking about is my trauma healing, maybe your trauma healing as well, might come from a simple walk every day with different beautiful moments of slowing down and reconnecting to, here I am, sweetie, and I'm wounded and I'm healthy. And it's kind of sweet. My culture didn't tell me, but now I will figure it out how to love myself. And opening your eyes and going back to functioning again, going back to self-love. It's a breathing in and out. It's not waiting for another kind of overwhelm. Healing is regenerating. Healing isn't an overwhelm. Trauma is an overwhelm. Do not project the matrix of trauma onto the matrix of healing. It's the beginning of something new. It's not the repetition of the past. So to some extent, it's not more than that. It's just gathering, saying yes to what happened in a very embodied way, slowing down, not stretching that, not doing it perfectly, opening your eyes, chatter in your mind again. Congratulations. Yeah, like for all of us. I interrupted your questions about embodiment, Mark, but I wanted to jump in.
We have a nice flow, I think. So it's okay to interrupt. Therapists are wrong. So how do people find that? I'd love to hear people. I certainly enjoyed it. If you want to put in the chat, how was that? Very soothing. And also, I've heard both you and Patricia land this idea, which is really profound to me, that often we try and heal our trauma with the style of our trauma.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I'm super like yang, hyper aroused, a little bit aggressive. So I was like, right, I'm going to smash my trauma. I'm going to be the best at healing trauma. And it's like, okay, I realized eventually that wasn't the best strategy, you know. Oh, beautiful, inspiring, some nice comments. Yeah, I like Ilan stuff. For me, it's really practical as well as
nourishment of love.
I
want healing now, and I'm very impatient. There is a very interesting thing to that, Alison, that, correct me if I'm wrong, I learned also, hey, Ilan, be patient. But wow, I can't help it. I am not a patient person, period. There is something healthy in your impatience, Alison. It's not the kind of, I'm not good enough. Okay, that's some kind of stuff. But there is also a sense of, I know so well inside that so much more aliveness is possible. I want that now. So even this impatience has a kind of healthy sense of self-love, of I deserve more. More is possible. And in that way, I think that's also something interesting that I've put together in this online training that we are offering here, Moving Beyond Trauma, is really working with your rage, with your anger as a kind of energy, a frequency that can work on your side. It's not destructive, it's not self-hatred, it's not blaming others, but it is this kind of, wow, I wanted more. I want more of that right now. And this kind of anger is a healing anger that we also associate with trauma healing as unleashing your superpowers inside. So that's just one footnote to, I think, where all of us can be encouraged, or many of us at least can be encouraged to step away from this good girl, good boy stuff in order to truly empower this. I'm impatient. Yes, I'm going for something. This is about something. I matter to myself. So in that way, in a healing, loving way with yourself, be impatient.
The question here, which I think relates really to your method, Ilan. So there's this sort of modern idea of triggers. So someone's saying, how do I deal with triggers that appear in everyday life that remind us of
Oh, love that question. Wow, couldn't be more perfect. Thank you so much. So let me quickly jump into my personal story, which was all about remembering my past and trying very hard to remember the past that I didn't remember anymore, which was kind of stressful, another layer of stress in Ilan's life. So here is the super relevant thing that I also share in detail in the online course, Moving Beyond Trauma. Your past is present in the triggers in your here and now. There is no everyday routine. There is no superficial routine in your everyday business that you have to push to the side in order to focus on the deep stuff. The deep stuff is in the seemingly superficial stuff of your everyday triggers. The more your everyday triggers seem to be silly to your mind, the deeper they run into the landscape of your trauma system, of the trauma in your nervous system. So to some extent, I'm serious about that. Give it a try. Just focus with a lot of attention, a lot of breathing, whole body trembling, and self-love, no matter what, onto what triggers you today. And allow this trigger to be moving in your whole body. We are sharing so much around whole body shaking, which is just imitating what you want to be doing all day long as a wild animal that you are inside anyway. And this kind of whole body movement that moves trauma energy in your body. And the trauma energy in your body, it doesn't come from the nightmare last night. It comes from your everyday triggers. In that way, your greatest lover in trauma healing is your everyday business, especially where it pisses you off. Sorry to say, prove me that I'm wrong, that I'm still angry that I have this hard fate or destiny of I have to deal with this stuff in that way. To some extent, it was a great relief because it was, wow, I do not have several problems. I have one very problem showing up in every layer of my life.
And then, a little short on time. It's my turn.
Yay! Thank you so much.
But I love this vibe that you bring in, this attitude that you don't have to keep dragging up the past. I'm so bored of talking about my mom and dad. We don't have to, like, you can work through the body. Like, life gives you enough, right? There's enough.
More than enough.
Scare me and piss me off on a daily basis without thinking about the past. And right now, real life stuff through the body. I love your shaking method. I love David's shaking method. If people don't get on with your style, he's a good alternative, I would say. Both of them are part of this course. Ilan's got lots of other sessions happening. We have a ridiculous amount on offer. Different things coming up today, later today. Me and Ron did a great one on forgiveness earlier. What else have we got coming up? The next one's with me and Erica on how trauma shows up about with money and marketing. Like, I can't be seen, or there's not enough, whatever it is. So many ways this shows up. Pick the ones that work for you. They're short and sweet. We make trauma fun. I wanted to use that as our headline, but no one would let me. But I feel like this work can become enjoyable, at least not for everyone right away, but at least at the later stages.
I mean, our love and joy for life becomes invincible when we learn that even trauma is a highway to a fun that we forgot somewhere in the past. So I'm serious. It's being intimate with your shadows, and it's the highway to, wow, I amazingly love this life. I'm serious. Yeah.
It's so good. And if you do want to learn stuff, we've got a little 3-hour course. We deliberately made it half the price of anything else we've ever sold. And that's not a sales technique. Like our regular people can tell you that. It's just cheaper than anything else we've ever put out there. The reason was I wanted it to be available to people. We've kind of said, we'll sell 500 ridiculously cheap. So if you want to get in there for that, it's what is it, $49 or something? It's really cheap. And if you are in a place like, hey, actually I live in Sierra Leone and that's not really cheap for me, or I haven't worked in 3 years because of my PTSD, then email us, okay? You will email Agatha, she's nice, and I've told her to be super generous with anyone who really can't afford the $49. Just don't take the piss if you can. And there's a thing there for therapists and trainers and coaches who maybe have a bit more money and want a bit more stuff, but all the basics of Ilan's trauma healing, all the essentials, that is everything you need to practice. That is in that little 3-hour thing that we're selling. So there's lots of good ways. It's not the only way, but it is a nice one. So if you like her style, get that, get it for your traumatized friends, whatever. Whew. Okay, let's all take a breath before we finish. Look after yourself after these sessions, pretty please. Who's told their friends about this on social media? If you have, give us a little heart there so I can thank you. Lenny, Ginny, thank you so much. Put a little heart up. I'm going to stay for some Q&A after this for people who are in the fancy pants all access pass. Doing the thing. Woo! Cool. So, Ilan, thank you so much. When are you on next?
Thank you.
Got some other sessions this week?
I forgot about the names of the other sessions. We are just deep diving into the very moment. But
More good
that's
stuff.
kind of, yeah.
More good stuff.
Wow.
Okay.
We've got some people asking how they access the course. I've just put the links in again into the chat. So you follow that link and that will take you to where you need to go, everybody.
Tell your friends. Okay. Anything of official things, Thea? Thanks for looking after.
No, just a huge thank you to both of you. Thank you, Ilan. Thank you, Mark. What an amazing session. So personally, I thought of about 3 people during that who I want to bring along to these sessions. So do please bring everybody in, anybody you think of. Thank you both. It's been a beautiful session.
I'll stay on for Q&A. Let's end the session there officially. Lan, if you have to run, no problem. Thea, if you have to run, no problem.
I will fly.
I can stay.
But kind of running.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Wow. Creating a magic future for us.
Okay. So if you stay in for Q&A, we'll take a few questions. Who else is in love with Ilan? It's okay. Daria knows. So it's a spiritual thing. Don't take it personally. Have you read a book, by the way? So you've read a book about
No, I haven't. I will be.
Hardcore. It's hardcore. All right. Any questions? Sometimes the questions are, how do I solve my trauma? Thoughts, comments, questions? Do you like my new blue shirt? It's a birthday present from my wife.
Oh, very nice.
It's a raised hand yet. Type your question if you wouldn't mind.